everyone, welcome back. So in this video we'll be talking about for loop and how to use a range function. Okay, so let's start with for loop and we'll see how to make use what is the syntax of for loop, and we'll start off with a simple program in for loop, and for that I've opened a new file. Okay, and so what we'll do is we'll be creating a list here. So I'm taking the name of the list as A, and in this list it's a list of numbers. So we have numbers from 1 to 5. Okay, and making use of for loop will be printing the elements of this list. Okay, so how do we use for loop? So we write for, which is a keyword, and x is any variable. You can, instead of x, you can take any other name. So for x, in is again a keyword, so you can see the change in color. So in a is the name of our list. So for x in a, and you have to put a colon, and then after that we just want to print x. Okay, so it will print x, and then basically what will happen is, first we'll see the output of this, and then I'll explain you what exactly is happening here. So let's finish off the loop, and after finishing off the loop we'll save it, and we can just give it any name. Let's say a. So automatically the extension is given a.py, and we'll run it. So when you run it, so you see we have this numbers printed from 1 to 5. Okay, so now what basically is happening here is, we are basically, the for loop, how it works is, it goes through each element of the list. That means as long as the list is not exhausted, each element is picked up and put in x. So the first value of x is 1, and then the second value of x is 2, and 3, and 4, and 5, so on in each iteration. So till the list is exhausted, it will pick up the elements of the list one by one and put it in the variable x, and it will print. So we do have for loop in C language or some other languages also, but this one is slightly different because we do not have any condition checking here. That means it doesn't evaluate if the condition is true or false, unlike the loop in for loop in other programming languages. So that's the basic difference between this for loop and the for loop in other programming languages. So this one is pretty simple. If you want to go through the elements of a list, or if you want to print the elements of the list one by one, you can easily do so using for loop in Python. So this particular program, what it is doing is, it picks first element from the list A, puts the value in x, prints that, then it does the second, and so on. Okay, now let's do another one where we want to print the sum of all the elements of this list. Okay, so we want to print the sum of 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5. So for doing that, we have taken a variable s to initialize it to 0, and s is equal to s plus x. So this will give you the sum of all the elements, and we want to print the sum, but the sum will be printed outside the loop. So you see the difference in indentation. Printing is outside the for loop, it is not part of the for loop. So once we've done that, now we'll run it, and we'll see the output is 15. So it gives me the sum of 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5, which gives us 15. Okay, so that's how we can print the sum of all the elements of a list using for loop. So many such programs which you can think of, and you can do so using the for loop in Python. Okay, and now before like we start off with some more programs, we will discuss another function in Python, which is called the range function. Now this is a very important function, and let's see what this function does. Okay, so let's do it first, understand it at the prompt. So we have the range function, and let's say we say range 5. So when you say range 5, it basically means all the numbers from 0 till 4. 5 is not inclusive. So range 5 will give you the numbers from 0 till 4. So basically 5 numbers in all, starting from the number 0. Okay, so that is what the range function gives. So when you give an upper range, let's say range 10, so it gives you the numbers from 0 till 9. So that is your range 0 till 9. Okay, so now let us make use of this range function in combination with for loop, and let's see how we can use it with for loop. So when we say for x in range 5, so this basically means all the numbers from 0 to 4. so including 4. Okay, so here we have range 5, so that means 0 1 2 3 4. So it will print all the numbers one by one from 0 to 4. So when you run it, so you see this is the output that we get, 0 1 2 3 4. Okay, and so range function, pretty useful function which can be used for a variety of purposes, and you will realize the importance of this function as we move through the course. Okay, and let's see the use of range function in another way. Mm, let's say that okay, instead of printing the numbers from we just have 5. So let's suppose you want that the gap between the numbers should not be 1, it should be more than 1. Let's suppose maybe 2 or 3. So in that case, what we call it, step. Step is the difference between each consecutive number. So let's suppose we want the numbers to be printed at a difference of 3. So in that case, the last argument 3 is the step, 0 is the starting number. That means we want the range from 0 till 10 with a step of 3. So when with a step of 3 will give us the numbers 0, 3, 6 and 9. Okay, so we get the numbers at a 0 plus 3 is 3, 3 plus 3 is 6, 6 plus 3 is 9, and since the range is 10, the upper limit is 10, so 10 is not inclusive. The next number would be greater than 10. Okay, so the third argument here is the step. Step means the increment or the difference between each number. Okay, right, so this is another usage of range. Now let's do one more program here, and what basically we are going to do is this is with the list of strings. So we have different colors here. So let's suppose we've created a list of colors, and we've got 4 colors here: red, green, blue, red, green, purple and blue. And what we are doing is we are going to print each color separately on a separate line. So for that, what we do is, as we did with numbers, so with strings, so we say for C in colors. Now instead of C here, you can use any other variable, that's your choice. You take I, you take A, B, C, X, Y, Z, any. So for C in colors, but colors is the name of the list, and we say print C. So it prints all the colors on a separate line. Okay, so that's how. So basically, it works with the for loop works with strings also. It works with numbers also. So we've seen a list of numbers. We have seen a list of colors. That means a list of strings. Okay, so it's as you must be like noticing that it's pretty simple, pretty easy to use for loop, unlike other languages. There's no particular syntax here which is to be learned. And now this particular, let me make a slight modification here. Let's suppose we want to print the length of each color. That means the color length. What is the length of red? It is 3. So this is how we can do it. We just put first put the name of the color, and then we want to print the length of each color. So len function is given to us by Python, and we make use of this inbuilt function, and we can print C. C is the first color, that is red, and then green, purple and blue. So that's prints each color separated by comma. Okay, and then the length of color. So let's run it and see the output. So you see the output is red, green, purple and blue. So with the length of each color. And if you do not want a comma in between, you want another symbol like maybe colon, so that you can change that, and you can again run it, and you will see that you get the desired output. Okay, so very easy to use for loop and very simple syntax, and you can do a lot of things using this for loop. Okay, and let's one last thing before we wind up here is you can make use of for loop like this also. That means you can put the string directly here for x in hello, and you say print x. So it will print each character on a separate line. So we have print x, so it prints HELLO on one character on each line. So that's how it can be used. Okay, so different examples of for. So this is the first video on for. So here we have learned how to use for loop, and we'll be coming up with more videos on for loop. And I hope this video was useful to you and you liked it. If you have any suggestions, please leave it in the comments. And if you've not subscribed to the channel, please do so. And thanks for watching.